Well, Spring, that was fun. After the trade deadline comes and goes on Friday, the Avs make big time moves. Charlie Coyle comes in, Brock Nelson comes in. We've already talked a lot about that trade, but three different new Avalanche get their first points in Burgundy and Blue. Charlie Lindgren an assist, Charlie Coyle an assist on
Ryan Lindgren.
Ryan Lindgren. His brother Charlie plays goalie for the Washington Capitals. I'm sure that's not the last time I'll do that, but Ryan Lindgren gets the assist on the first Avs goal of the night. Charlie Coyle gets the primary assist on the tying Avs goal to make it 4-4 on Jonathan Drouin's helper. And you also get an assist from Brock Nelson tonight. Depth scoring was key this evening. And while Val Nichushkin is the hero of the night in a 7-4 victory, man, it is when your fourth line looks as dominant as they were tonight with Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor and Jack Drury, the Avs might be the deepest hockey team in the league up front.
Charlie Coyle on the third line getting that primary assist on the Jonathan Drouin game-tying goal. Great play by Sam Girard near the point. Ross Colton feeds it down to Coyle. Too tight at quarters for Drouin. Shout out to Anthony Stolarz. He's been admirable. He's kind of come out of nowhere this season. A veteran in Anthony Stolarz had a decent game, but it was just too much. It was too much. And this was the first game. This was the first game with the new guys together. But they're so good that, yeah, there were some hiccups, but they figured it out pretty quick. I mean, they figured it out almost immediately. Brock Nelson has his fingerprints on both of the first two goals scored by Valeri Nichushkin. My goodness. Brock Nelson and Valeri Nichushkin on the same line.
That's a problem.
That is some size. That is some meat. That is some man right there. Valeri Nichushkin gets his first regular season hat trick. I think he had one in the Jets series last year because we play that highlight on Kreckman and Lindahl all the time. In fact, Connor McGahey won drop of the year for that empty net Nichushkin goal in the Winnipeg series. And then he had to leave the Stars series. But my goodness, when he is out there and he is right, saw the shot of him walking into the arena tonight looking like $1 million. If Valeri Nichushkin has his head right, he is very much so part of the reason why this team went all in. It's not just the reigning MVP who had the game-winning goal, the reigning Four Nations MVP as well, for that matter. It's not just Cale Makar coming off a 6-point game, who is the best defenseman in the world, the second greatest defenseman of all time. Might go down as the greatest defenseman of all time. It's Valeri Nichushkin. He's definitely number 3. Val is so underrated. So to see him have this success tonight and how good he's been since he's come back from injury. Now you put Nelson, Coyle on this team, Lindgren and Drury. Marty Necas drew the key penalty with his speed in the neutral zone that leads to the McKinnon power play goal. This team's loaded. They're loaded top to bottom. It feels like 22, Raj. They just beat a Craig Berube team. It feels like 2022.
It really does feel like 2022. I only have 4 players in the Avalanche this evening not recording points. Sorry, that might be a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got 4 players not recording points for Colorado. Sam Girard and then your fourth line, but the fourth line was great. And Berube tried to do what Craig Berube does best, and that is muck up a neutral zone when you get a lead. And he did it successfully for a good 15 minutes. They started to do it with about 5 minutes to go in that second period. And the majority of the third, when they were up by 1, you're just holding the blue line, hoping that Colorado can't join the zone or successfully enter the zone with possession of the puck. You saw it in the power play tonight that got held up there on the offensive blue line. But once Colorado got into the zone, the cycling was amazing. Brock Nelson and Val Nichushkin clicked immediately. There was no wait to gel out of those two players. They are perfect complements to one another, perfect fits next to each other. And Connor said it best on the broadcast. I was in the booth with him tonight, and he looked over at me and he goes, "All overnight, they became a big hockey team. Like what it is so drastically different than it was before." with Coyle at 6'3" as your third line center, Nelson at 6'3", 6'4" ish as your second line center, alongside a 6'4", 220-pound wing on Nichushkin. Like, it makes Drouin look really, really small, but Drouin now can just distribute pucks and go let those guys cycle, cycle, cycle. Then that line zips it high to, or low to high, D to D, and then you get shots on net. It seems as though those trades, and again, very small sample size spring, all of them look really, really solid in this lineup. I know they paid a lot, but they look good.
You pay a lot when you have McKinnon, Makar, Nichushkin, Taves, Lehkonen in that order. When you have Mackenzie Blackwood, look, Stolars is a solid goalie. Came a little out of nowhere, but he's not as legitimate as Mackenzie Blackwood is. The whole league really missed out on Mackenzie Blackwood. I know he allows 4 goals tonight. Hey, look, that's what the Leafs do. And Mitch Marner had himself maybe not a complete game, but moments where, man, he's a skilled as hell player.
For 90% of the game, Mitch Marner was the best player on the ice tonight. He was I don't want to like glaze a Maple Leaf player, but he was a delight to watch this evening.
You know, both of his goals are very high level, and they're set up well. The Matthew Nyes is a good underrated young player for them, and he has a good setup for Marner on his first. Marner kind of sets up his second with a little rainbow dump into the offensive zone for the Leafs. And shout out to Bobby McCann, who feeds Marner, who trails his own pass. And those are just snipes from Marner that beat Blackwood. Fine. Toronto can do that. But, that's a team that just gave up a first for Brandon Carlo, and he had his moments tonight. But Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, that team hasn't made it past the second round. Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Valeri Nichushkin and Devon Taves and Arturi Lehkonen have lifted Lord Stanley's Cup. That's the real deal. Like, this core is the real deal. Now, it was missing some depth, and they got that depth. Now, I want everyone to keep this in mind, though. They're not able to acquire all the depth that they got, all the size they got. They can't get both, certainly both, Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle, and add Lindgren and Drury to it. You cannot get all of that unless you don't have Mikko Rantanen on your roster. And it's funny that he and his camp kind of set the wheels in motion, and it wasn't the worst thing to happen. It was almost a blessing in disguise. Mikko almost did the Avs a favor.
Yeah, this forward unit is, I think it's deeper than the Cup team. You don't have as much top end scoring as the Cup team does. Although Marty Necas, man, you've talked about it. We've talked about it on the show. The drop off from Rantanen to Necas doesn't feel like that much because he is such a good fit alongside Nathan McKinnon. I think it's a deeper forward unit than 2022. I think the back end is better in 2022 than it is now. But Lindgren and Manson played together a bunch. And on Twitter, when I put out my new depth chart, so what I did yesterday, spring, and these got, a ton of run on X yesterday, was the Avs lineup against Boston back on October the 16th of this season, where it was an absolute nightmare what the Avs unfortunately had to put on the ice, not only because they weren't deep enough, but because they were also injured at the beginning of the season. And this is what the lineup looked like all the way back in early October. Nathan McKinnon in the middle of Mikko Rantanen and Ross Colton as your top line. Casey Middlestat in the middle of Callum Ritchie, a 19-year-old, and Miles Wood. Parker Kelly is your third line center in between Kovalenko and Logan O'Connor. Matthew Steinberg, remember that name? Your fourth line center on October 16th, in between Ivan and Joel Kiviranta. Oliver Shillington, first pair defenseman with Cale Makar. Sam Girard and Manson is your second pairing, and then John Ludwig and Sam Malinsky as your third D pairing in front of Alexander Georgiev. As it stands today, this team might beat that team by 10.
Well, and Alexander Georgiev was in net, so they beat him by 20. I miss Ivan. I've forgotten about Ivan. And I like that player. I wonder what he's doing with the Eagles. I don't check. But they got him. Okay, they parted with a first and both the seconds that they had. The first is in a year or two, or even three. 2 seconds next year. Callum Ritchie, who he ultimately you could see that he wasn't ready for the NHL. And that was just a spot stint at the start of the season. And, some of that is Nichushkin suspended, Lehkonen recovering from shoulder injury. They were out, but still, yeah, it's a dreadful lineup. No matter which way you want to slice it. But yeah, you still got Ivan. That's a guy who could develop a little bit and showed something. I like him. Sam Malinsky was on that team. And look, Sam Malinsky had a good little game tonight. Two
Sam had a
assists.
very good game tonight.
And, you mentioned Lindgren and Manson playing together. And, see, I knew that was a possibility because
people ripped me on Twitter for that last night because of like, oh, they're going to get burned wide. They didn't get burned wide today.
Honestly, Makar and Taves were out there for 2 of the goals, maybe even 3. Lindgren and Manson were only out there for 1. That was the Tavares goal. And Brock Nelson, who's very good in the faceoff circle, and he wins a faceoff that leads to the second Nichushkin goal. So, 1-win faceoff results in a goal. He loses a faceoff here, quickly results in a Tavares goal. Manson kind of gets tangled up with the Leafs player, gets called for a penalty. It's a delayed penalty. So, okay, Manson maybe gets a little over-aggressive in that one moment. And I saw a comment about like Lindgren and Manson, this is no good. I didn't see that. I thought they played well together. And I think Ryan Lindgren in particular has a little more skating ability and speed. I'm not saying he's a burner by any means, but he's a better puck mover than I was anticipating, knowing him as more of a physical player with the New York Rangers. But he's 27 years old, and I know there was concerns about his body already being banged up, but I think that dude can skate. I liked what I saw from Manson and Lindgren tonight, and I know they probably want to go, and they mixed it up a little bit, but they primarily went with the 3 pairs that were in the lineup card. And a lot of that is right, left, right, left, right, left. Makar Taves, Lindgren, Manson, Gerard, Malinsky. You got a right shot and a left shot on each of those D pairs. It kind of makes sense for Lindgren and Manson to play together. It kind of makes sense for Gerard and Malinsky to play together. And it worked out tonight. Malinsky had a great game. Gerard had the key play. He had like the fourth. He doesn't get credit for an assist on the game-tying goal, but he kind of starts that play. So I thought the deep pairs were great overall. And if anything, it was Makar and Taves who were the net negative defensively tonight.
Yeah, for the majority of the game. And I know McKinnon walks out of this game with 2 goals, right? And Kale walks out of this game as I want to say even on the plus minus because he's on the ice for 2 empty net goals after going into those final 2 minutes at -2. He walks out with a point, so now 7 in his last 2 games, but even on the plus minus. They won this hockey game against a number 1 seed in the East, right? Top of their division in the Eastern Conference right now in Toronto. And while Toronto is fun to watch, and I think they're a good team, you guys who have listened to this show now for 7 years, what do I say about the Toronto Maple Leafs? Put it in the chat. The Toronto Maple Leafs are built to lose hockey games. You can be a good hockey team and still be built to lose hockey games. They're not as deep as Colorado is. They certainly don't have the goaltending that Mackenzie Blackwood gives for the Avalanche. The Avs beat a good Toronto team on a night where Cale Makar fought the puck. Like, Cale was allergic to the puck tonight. Nathan MacKinnon was good, a driver of offense at the beginning of the game, but really wasn't on top of his stuff, man. This second line was the stick that stirred the drink this evening. Val Nichushkin and Brock Nelson were the reason why you won this hockey game. And did you see at the end of the second period? We got a little bit of a dose of a black line, is what my staffs have called it in the past. Like, your line jerseys, white line, red line, blue line, yellow line, whatever you're wearing in practice. Black line is like this special line that you bring out. It's the ace up your sleeve. At the end of the second period, Jared Bednar threw Nathan MacKinnon out alongside Val Nichushkin, Brock Nelson, Cale Makar, and Devon Taves. And it didn't work because they didn't win the faceoff. But I cannot wait to see that line play again in a big time situation.
They very well that's a good line to throw out there in offensive zone like icing situations where you're getting an offensive zone face off. Um, Nathan McKinnon has been better of late in the face-off circle, but Brock Nelson, I mean, they now look Casey Middlestat. Not only did the play dip, but one thing Nazem Kadri brought you was he was your go-to. Hell, even Ryan Johansson was this for a little bit. It was like the one thing he was kind of decent at. Your go-to face-off guy. If you know you have an offensive zone draw, you have an ace. You have an ace up your sleeve. You have a true stud in that department. Even if he's not on your top line, you throw him out there for that offensive zone faceoff, and Brock Nelson can play on a good team's top line. He can play out there with Nathan McKinnon and Valeri Nichushkin. Look, I like McKinnon with Natchez and Lehkonen, but I do think that Nichushkin is their second best forward. But McKinnon is working. It's working with Natchez and Lehkonen. So Nichushkin can remain on the second line. But really, he's your second best player. So those are your two best. Now McKinnon's a wing with your best centerman, your best faceoff guy, Brock Nelson. It ups your odds of winning the faceoff, getting that offensive zone possession, and Nelson and Nichushkin can work with McKinnon. That's a line that can come in handy. That's a three-man group that can come in handy. And the size of Brock Nelson and Valeri Nichushkin on that second line, it's a direct result of the first goal that scored less than a minute into the game, because there's a puck that comes around the boards and Brock Nelson is kind of trailing it. And just because of his size, is screening the Leafs defender who's trying to get to that puck. And it makes it up to that left point where Ryan Lindgren is able to fire a shot on net. And then the size of Nichushkin is in front of net. So it's this diagonal line of size that allows for that puck, A, to get to Lindgren, and then B, get through, and then C, get tipped in by Val Nichushkin. That is a size goal right there. It paid off less than a minute into this game.
Here's the Avs' brand new second line center.
Come out the last 24 hours or so that there were a lot of teams that were trying to trade for you, and you had chosen Colorado. You were preferred coming here. What was it about this team that you felt was a fit?
I don't know. I mean, just I've known Taser for a bit. I've talked to him a bit over the years too, just a little bit about style and play and whatnot. And I mean, you never really know when that situation arises what's going to happen. But to be a part of this group, I think it's going to be a good fit. I'm just trying to mesh as fast as I can and be a good support guy for them.
It's always great to hear from a player like that, Mark Springer, that this is where he wanted to come. This wasn't a situation where he didn't want to leave his team, where he got traded to a place that he had no idea could have been a possibility for him. Brock Nelson is, and I know he doesn't play like an old guy without a cup, but he's the old guy without a cup right now on this team. They add Charlie Coyle from the Boston Bruins, who has played north of 100 games in the postseason. Did you know this about Charlie Coyle? He's never played a season in the National Hockey League where he hasn't made the playoffs. It's insane. That guy just plays playoff hockey, but Brock Nelson is going to be the guy that this team rallies around to go get him that ring.
Does Charlie Coyle have a cup?
I think Coyle has a cup with Boston.
Are you sure about that? Because
I think he does. Was that too early for Charlie Coyle? Was Coyle part of Minnesota when that happened? He was really good in games in the 7-game series against St. Louis that they didn't win.
Charlie Coyle made the cup final. I think this was his first year in Boston.
So the 7-game loss to St. Louis
in 19, lost to the Blues.
Okay, all right. So he wasn't on Boston when they won it. He may have not even been in the league. He was either with Minnesota or he wasn't in the league when Boston won their last cup. Yeah, he was good in that 7. That's the reason why I think he's won, because he was really good. Like he scored as much as Marchand and Pasternak did in that final.
Yeah, he went to Boston. He was a deadline acquisition for the Bruins in the 18-19 season. So he lost in the Cup final to Craig Berube and the Blues, who the Avs beat tonight. They beat Craig Berube tonight. So Coyle needs a cup. Yeah, these are guys who have been in the league for a long time and have won a lot and know how to play and can pick up systems quickly because of their experience. and have size, two-way ability, are physical. These are winning players. And I had seen Brock Nelson say, I had seen the comment, and that's probably why he was asked about it there, that Colorado was his preferred destination. Kind of reminds me, and now it's different, but it reminds me of Zach Parise last year, choosing to sign with the Avs when a few teams were interested in him. There are players around the league who look at the Avs and they see, oh, it's McKinnon, it's Makar, Bednar seems cool. Like there's a good culture. Even Landeskog not even playing, but he's still around the team and he's a representative and he's still one of the faces of this team and he's respected around this league. There are so many reasons why the Avalanche command respect from especially veteran players who understand how to win and know what it takes to win. So it's no surprise that Brock Nelson looked at the Avs as the team he wanted to go to.
We heard from Brock Nelson. Now let's hear from Charlie Coyle.
Yeah, I mean, those are fine and nice and can help build confidence a bit, but I just want to go out.
You guys hearing this?
Try to do what I can.
Let me know in the comments if you guys are hearing Charlie or if
you want to do it the right way. So I'm happy to contribute a little bit, but I want to keep growing my game and continue that chemistry with the line mates.
It's ironic. I talked to Jonathan Drouin yesterday about what he knows about you, and he said he played against you in juniors and that you were a pain to play against. So it's ironic that he ends up, getting a goal from you. Can you talk about that goal?
Yeah.
Set that up?
Well, I think I had a few years on him, and when we played in junior, and you could tell he was a special player even back then. So I've always kind of followed him and known of him ever since then. You knew he was going to be in the league and have a great career. I think that goal specifically just started a dump in and just guys in good spots and filling in and nothing crazy, just kind of a simple behind the net, and he was in a great spot to receive the pass. And
those are the post-game comments of Avs third-line center Charlie Coyle on his way over from the Boston Bruins.
It's a winning player right there, and he made a winning play tonight. He had the primary assist on the game-tying goal. You can play him. It looks like is Rogers having some sort of computer issues here. You can play Charlie Coyle on your third line at center or wing. You can play him on the second line at wing. I mean, he was Charlie Coyle was a second line winger. Like that's where he filled in on the Bruins lineup this season, was second line wing with Elias Lindholm, a former, guy. We talked about him at a trade deadline not too long ago. He was a Bruin this season, and Coyle would take a lot of face-offs still, even on that line, but Lindholm would center that line. So you can play him on wing, Charlie Coyle. You can play him at center, third line center, and that's what they chose to do. I was wondering if they would keep Drury as your third C with Coyle on the wing, but no, they're going to go Coyle 3C with Colton and Kiviranta on the wing. And hey, those two connected. I mean, how that Kiviranta pass made it all the way to Ross Colton is beyond me.
And then how the 2-on-1 or shot gets through the legs of Stolarz is beyond me as well.
Sure, but Drury goes down to 4C. And now Parker Kelly, who played 4C all season, is now a wing on the fourth line with Logan O'Connor down there. And I mean, you even started the show with it. That line really worked hard tonight. That Parker Kelly, Logan O'Connor, and Jack Drury line. Logan O'Connor drew a penalty working hard, got tripped, and put the Avs on the power play. They couldn't do anything with it. Parker Kelly laid a big old hit along the benches to a Leafs player that sent him flying. And Jack Drury did take the hook that led to the Maple Leafs power play goal, but Drury was miffed. Drury was miffed. He's like, what the hell? I didn't do a damn thing.
I would have called it interference or holding before the hook, because the hook, he ends up getting, I don't remember who it was on the right side. It may have been Robertson, Camp. I have no idea who it was. It was by the letter of the law, a hook on the gloves, but I thought Drury interfered with the player before he got his stick up in there. He's pissed at it. And at that time, like, Toronto was buzzing, man. You kind of saw vintage Jonathan Tavares this evening, but For me, again, it was Mitch Marner. Marner looked energized. Marner looked like a guy that saw the deals and the extensions that were made with Mikko Rantanen and Wyatt Johnston, and I'm about to make whatever I want. Whatever I ask for Toronto, they're going to give me.
Dude, that part of Toronto's problems is that Austin Matthews is supposed to be their best player. He needs to be their best player in the big games and the big moments, but he just he just fades. Marner shows up. And you did get a little bit of a renaissance from John Tavares tonight for an old guy who is kind of a liability from a cap perspective to the Maple Leafs nowadays. He did have a good game, but Matthews, man, like that's the difference. It's one of a few differences, maybe the main difference between the Leafs and the Avs is that Nathan MacKinnon scores the game-winning goal tonight. Nathan MacKinnon was far more noticeable tonight than Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews was kind of a ghost in the Four Nations. MacKinnon won MVP of the Four Nations. Austin Matthews needs to, and you look at Nathan MacKinnon. This is something I was thinking about him recently. Like, go look at photos of older Nathan, or excuse me, younger, I suppose younger Nathan MacKinnon, and look at photos of him now. That dude has put in the work. His body has transformed. It is noticeable. Austin Matthews, there's another level you need to get to. I would observe Nathan MacKinnon and take notes in terms of off-season work and other intangible things that you need to work on to get to that level.
Yeah, I am waiting for him to be that player. I don't know if he'll ever be, but he's responsible defensively, Matthews, and he does have. You can argue Austin Matthews has the best shot on planet Earth. You can act if you make that argument. I wouldn't call you crazy. I think that he is in the conversation as the best release in the game. You can put him up there with McDavid. You can put him up there with Ovechkin. He's probably got the best release in hockey, and he has added a defensive element. He's missing something, right? He's missing that snap factor that MacKinnon does. Honestly, he's missing what I thought McDavid didn't have for years, which was like just the want to go through your chest. And now it feels like Connor McDavid has that in his game. We saw it in the playoffs. We saw it in the 24/7 documentary about the Stanley Cup final that like McDavid plays like a man who has some fuck you to his hockey game now. Matthews is missing that. MacKinnon has always had it. Matthews needs to find it. And if he doesn't, Austin Matthews will always be the player that he currently is in Toronto. And as a result, the Toronto Maple Leafs will always be built to lose hockey games.
Yeah, look, Nathan MacKinnon, are these updated? Is NHL.com updated? Let me see here, because Nate scored twice tonight. So those were, okay, it's not updated on NHL.com. So Nate has 27 goals on the season. So he just hit the 100-point mark. Wait, did he have any assists tonight? Did MacKinnon have an assist tonight?
MacKinnon had 0 assists, 2 goals.
Okay, so that put him clean on 100 points on the season with 27 goals and 73 assists. Let's see. Austin Matthews had 3 assists tonight. Hey, and that kind of goes against what I was going to bring up. So Austin Matthews has 23 goals on the season. So Nathan MacKinnon has 4 more goals than Austin Matthews. Austin did get up to 33 assists. He came into tonight with 30. Hey, because he's not an assist guy, and that's what I was going to bring up. So he's got 56 points on the season. Nathan MacKinnon has 100. Look, Nate has 73 assists, and he has 4 more goals than the great goal scorer. And Matthews has 33 assists. So MacKinnon has 40 more assists than Austin Matthews. Like it's a playmaking thing. It's not just upping that off-season factor like MacKinnon did, but it's also seeing the ice and being a point guard out there. That's what the greats do. It's what McDavid does. It's what MacKinnon does. And Matthews is not doing that. So, yeah, and this is something I was thinking the other night, Raj. There are 2 best players in the league. And I'm at the point where I seriously don't care. Say whichever one you want is the best player in the league. For real. It's a toss-up. in my opinion, between Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid. And then it's probably Draisaitl after like a blank space and then a gap. There is a gap. There are clearly just two
Are you
best
just holding
players.
forwards? Are you just holding
And
forwards?
just for
Okay.
let's just go forward. Yeah, it's just two players. We're just talking two players. And Mikko Rantanen, bro. Mikko Rantanen, there's a considerable gap between Mikko Rantanen and those two players.
McKinnon now, and I saw Drew Livingstone up at Sportsnet, who produces Steve Dangle's show, which is hilarious if you guys haven't watched it. And I'm sure I don't want to tell you to like leave our show to go watch that right now, but that Steve is probably melting after this loss, and it has to be a goddamn riot. They are phenomenal at what they do over there. But Livingstone tweeted out, Nathan McKinnon now has 73 assists, which is first in the National Hockey League. He now has 45 primary assists, which is first in the National Hockey League. He now has 100 points, which is first in the National Hockey League. And he has 67 even strength points, which is first in the National Hockey League. The fact that that dude isn't an overwhelming favorite to win the MVP again is a slap in the face. Most books have Leon Draisaitl in the minus money and Nathan McKinnon way away in like the plus 250, plus 300 rates right now.
Well, I'm seeing, yeah, Draisaitl is a slight minus money, and then, maybe a little, the second guy getting decent odds, and I looked like a week ago, it was Hellebuck. Maybe it's just, is it voter fatigue, even though he just won his first? They're already fatigued. They're just like, nah, we just got to give it to somebody else. And with this new weaponry around Nathan McKinnon and the Edmonton Oilers, they only have 76 points. And they're losing right now to Dallas. I'm going to check that box score out in a second. Dallas is up 1-0.
It's 1-0. I've got the game on right now. I believe I'm a couple of minutes behind, but I'm currently watching them on the power play at 0-0, like 5 minutes into this first period. I'm assuming that they call or they score on the power play here. That's my expectation.
So Leon Draisaitl's team has 2 fewer points than McKinnon's team. And as of right now, the Oilers will come away with no points tonight if Dallas can hold, whatever. Yet Draisaitl's getting much better odds for Nathan McKinnon, who leads the NHL in points and has a clean 100 points on the season right now. I'm sorry, but Nathan McKinnon's the MVP. And his numbers are only going to tick upwards in a trend, in not exponentially, but they're going to go up more significantly. They're going to get boosted because now he has Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle on his team.
Spring, the goal that Dallas scores comes on the power play. It was directly because of a Mikko Rantanen shot for tip. I don't know if he gets a point on it, but he's the one that threw the puck at the net. Wyatt Johnston, the two guys who signed extensions in Dallas, are the guys who gets points on this one. Thomas Harley over to Rantanen off the pads. Yeah, so Rantanen will get the primary. Johnston gets the goal. Harley gets the secondary assist.
Looking at the box score right now, Mikko Rantanen not credited with an assist. You hate to see that. Good thing he just signed his contract so that he really doesn't care about, bumping those numbers for money anymore. But Connor McDavid appears to have just scored, and it is 1-1. That's not Leon Draisaitl, though. That's Connor McDavid scoring. Look, I think Nathan McKinnon's the MVP of this league. I really do. Was he great start to finish? No, but it was one of those games where every time he touched the puck, he felt dangerous, and he felt faster tonight. He looked faster, and he was juiced, man. The locker room comments of Nathan McKinnon at practice on Friday after the acquisitions, Nate was just like, yeah, you can't win with young players. Nate's been in this league. He's 29. Number 29 is 29 years old now. He gets it. He's like, dude, we don't have time for Cal Ritchie. We didn't have time for Nikolai Kovalenko. Like, good, fine, good, whatever. I wish him the best. But Brock Nelson's 33. Coyle's 33 years old. They are tried and tested. They've been in the playoffs time and time again. Nate knows those are winning players, and you could hear it in his voice. You could see it in his face. He approved 100%.
Yeah, I think he understands that now it's not all on me. Now I can rely, and that's what this game was. Like, we walk out of this hockey game with Nathan McKinnon having 2 points, Lehkonen having a point, and Nate just having a point, right? And Nate scoring 2 goals on a night where they score 7. You would think, just looking at the box score, it goes, all right, those were the guys that carried the game. They didn't have to carry this game. They didn't even have to get the team back into it tonight. It was all secondary scoring and depth scoring. Your second line was the one that ran this team this evening. The third line gets a big time goal. Drouin's the one that ties this thing up. The fourth line continues to be really good and effective despite not having points. And then when you just stay afloat because of depth scoring and because of secondary scoring, that allows your top guys to go out there and score when you need them most. And that's when Nate shows up on the power play. Right? You need a goal? You want me to put the nail in the coffin on Toronto? I'm here now. Thank you for doing your job for the first 45 minutes so I can do mine in crunch time.
All right, I'm going to pull this Dallas and Edmonton game up because I haven't, and this game's on, is this game on ESPN, Raj? I think it is.
I've got it on ESPN Plus right
Oh, you got it on
now.
ESPN Plus. Okay, I'm going to pull this up either way because I haven't checked it out yet, and I'm very curious to see what Mikko Rantanen looks like in a Dallas Stars uniform.
Everyone looks like crap in those uniforms because Dallas has horrible uniforms and horrible colors. They took a delightful logo in a wonderful color scheme in the 90s in a historic jersey with the star cut. And I get, like, it's a lot of 90s design in there. You could have gotten rid of that, but to get that new version of green and that bastardized D-Star logo is, everyone looks bad in those jerseys. Everybody looks bad in them. Of course Mikko was going to look bad. Now, Matt, I want to see what he looks like in the Modano jerseys. He would look sensational in the Modano jerseys.
Yeah, the black ones. I like the black ones.
The black ones, the white ones. Fuck, give me Muteris at this point.
Yeah, the green, it's a little puke greeny. It's
How bad was that Muteris jersey, man? They tried so hard on that. That was terrible. You guys know what the Muteris jersey is? It was the black third jersey that Dallas dreamt up in the early 2000s, I think, and it was this horrible third logo, man. It was pretty bad. It was tough to look at.
Well, they also recently, and they still use those like neon green ones, like the glow in the dark ones?
Yeah, they're offensive.
Yeah. Okay, so Mikko Rantanen's a Dallas Star signing like we last we talked, Raj, we just knew that the talks were heating up and it looked like the trade was going to happen, but nothing was official on that Thursday night and took until Friday morning, midday for everything to get finalized. And now Mikko agrees to sign the extension with the Dallas Stars, 8 years, $12 million, 2 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks. Oh, I don't remember those.
This is the jersey that has been nicknamed famously Muteris because it looks like a uterus. Also, the stick that Mike Modano is holding there. You see look who's in the background of this picture. What Avalanche is in the background of this picture over his right shoulder?
Is that Adam Foote?
No, the helmet should give it away.
I don't know.
That is Teemu Selanne.
I don't really
So this was taken in 2003 is when this was taken. Mike Modano's also holding like one of my favorite hockey sticks ever made, and that is the Easton Synergy Psycor.
So Paul Kariya is out there as well. That was a fun Avs team. Was that the season before or after the lockout?
That was the season before the lockout. They could never stay healthy, and it just didn't work out for them. They were on the I want to say they were on the team when Andrew Brunette for Minnesota ended Patrick Waugh's career in the playoffs. I think that they were on that team.
Okay. Yeah, okay, Mikko Rantanen. signs for less money than he would have gotten in any other scenario up to that point. That's what happened. What happened here? What happened here, Raj?
I have no idea what happened. What I think is, and again, the reports are that Colorado originally offered 11.75, right?
Sounds about right.
I've heard reports from within the organization that they offered 12 and they were willing to go as high as 12.5, but didn't really want to go there, but willing to go to 12.5 to make him the highest paid winger in the league and just $100,000 short of Nathan McKinnon, their internal cap, which, by the way, again, you don't get to make more than the best player in hockey. Sorry. Even if you want to call it a percentage game, screw it. You don't get to do that. Not on this team. And I think what happened was Mikko got traded to Carolina. Carolina had some sort of framework in place to sign him to 13.4, which again was reported by a lot of hockey insiders on the national base that it was offered 13.4 over $8 million, which is a ton of money to go to Carolina. When he turned that down, it was very clear, I don't know if I want to be here. I might want to be somewhere else. Now the question is, did he sign in Dallas because of state income tax, or did he sign in Dallas because, oh God, what am I without Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar? That's the big question here.
Well, why would that be? Oh God, I'm without McKinnon and Makar. Dallas is where I want to be, as opposed to as opposed to Carolina, because I think Carolina and Dallas are very similar teams.
They're the same hockey team.
So
show me the stud on Dallas right now. Like, you can't show me the stud player on Carolina. You also can't show me the superstar on Dallas.
Exactly. Like Heiskanen and Slavin, like they're different players, but like level wise, similar. Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis, it's very similar to Robertson, Johnston, Hintz. I mean, it's
a very good hockey team.
It's
very
very
good, very
similar.
deep hockey team. Right, but they're the same thing. So I think what happens is Mikko goes to a team like that in Carolina. And I wouldn't say he falls flat on his face because his possession numbers were good. His metrics were good, but he was not a driver of offense. He wasn't filling up the net like he was in Colorado when Nate and Cale were handcuffed to him for his entire career. So when he goes from Carolina to Dallas, now the issue arises. He hasn't wanted to sign a deal in one or two different places. And if the same thing happens in Dallas as it did in Carolina, the rest of the league then looks at you and goes, who are you without a stud? So why do we pay you $12 million at this point on an average annual basis? That's where it gets crazy, Spring. And I think that Mikko and his camp went, okay, good hockey team, a chance to stick it to the team that originally traded you away for now 8 years. You get a chance to go back at that team and do a little FU action with the Colorado Avalanche. You have no state income tax, and it also insulates against, if you fall flat on your face in Dallas at the end of the season, now we're not talking about $12 million a year. We're talking about, are you worth 10.5? Are you worth 10? I almost think it was a panic signing.
Okay, and I've got thoughts on this too. Let's put a pin in this for a second. We'll get back to the Mikko Rantanen conversation, as it appears we have one Darren McKee.
All right, thanks, guys. Man, this Avalanche team is going to get off the bus. It is going to take your lunch money. It's going to laugh about it, and then it's going to do it again the next day. That was the vibe. And Jared Bednar said, no offense to everybody else, and what he's talking about is the Kovalenko, Tartar, small guys. That is a thing of the past. This team is about pure intimidation, physical presence, skating, length, and it was an extraordinary game, not just by Val, who had the hat trick, and he chose not to talk. What a shock. But instantly, Coyle and Nelson especially had a huge impact, and you've already seen I just can't tell you what a difference all of this has made. and winning 5 games in a row is absolutely extraordinary. In fact, Raj, you were a topic of conversation after everything was said and done. Because, Raj, and maybe you can explain it a little bit later, but you put out a tweet comparing the lineup at the beginning of the year and the lineup now. And it is a marked difference. So maybe you could actually talk about what you put out. But there were people talking about that tweet, Raj, where were comparing and contrasting the lineups. This is a badass Avs team, okay? That is the simplest way to put it. It is so different. I don't know if we've really seen anything like it. And Bednar said there's just going to be nights where guys who are healthy, who aren't playing bad, are going to sit. And that was the case with Miles Wood. First game, Miles Wood has been a healthy scratch, and not because of poor play. But he did say that they would try to get everybody involved in what's going on. So you will see Eric Johnson. But, EJ, I don't know, guys, maybe 5 or 6 games, something like that. Break glass in case of emergency. You may not see Keaton Middleton all that much. So there's more size out there that, you may not see all that often. But, oh, my God, if you weren't entertained. And by the way, hey, the Leafs are a good team. And Blackwood did not have his best game, although Bednar said he wasn't disappointed with the performance whatsoever. But give credit to the Leafs. They're a really good team. So, that was a high-quality win. You were down 4-2. You scored 7 unanswered goals. Val had a hat trick, which was extraordinary. Nelson was a cool guy. I was talking to Coyle a little bit afterwards. He was cool. The vibes are fantastic. The team is intimidating as hell. And get ready. Your Colorado Avalanche are the big bad bully on the block. And I'll be shocked if they're not favored to win the Cup this year. It is extraordinary what has happened. So, again, with the technical difficulties, but you guys can take me out. I just want to let you know how positive things were here. And a thrilling game, by the way. Absolutely thrilling game against a really good Leafs team. And hopefully they just pound the crap out of Chicago. And maybe you see EJ on Monday. But this new look Avs team is something that fans are going to get quickly behind. With that, I'll leave you guys. Nice job by Raj. Getting all the Mongols talking about hockey stuff here. And I'll talk to you guys later.
There he is, D-Mac. You can hear him on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 weekdays from noon to 3 with Tyler Columbus and Scott Hastings. He's there at every Avs game in the locker room, getting the vibe, getting the post-game video that we play here on the show. So good to hear that everyone's feeling positive. They should feel positive. And you know what, Spring? He is right. They've turned themselves overnight into a schoolyard bully. But this schoolyard bully can't be taken down just because it's big and slow and bumbling and stupid. This is the schoolyard bully that is a Division I athlete with a full ride to play quarterback at, Michigan. That's who this schoolyard bully is with the Avalanche. They can do everything. They can beat you up. They can piss you off. They can run past you, and they can light up the scoreboard at the same time.
Well, their only size guy who was a legitimate threat and is a legitimate threat. Well, it's not him solely anymore. Previously it was, and that was Valeri Nichushkin. Now he's got backup. Now he's got reinforcements. It's, you talk about the schoolyard bully. You need a posse, right? You need flankers. You need goons. And Nichushkin's got goons. He's got Nelson on one shoulder, and he's got Coyle on the other. And they're about to kick some ass and take some names. But they didn't have any. It was just Nichushkin. It was one guy. And the other size guy that they had previously, at least from a height standpoint, just from you look at him physically, and you're like, that's some size. And that would be Mikko Rantanen. But let's be completely honest. He does not play a physical game. Valeri Nichushkin with his size does. Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle with their size do play that nasty physical game. And they have skill. And Nelson and Coyle, in addition, obviously, to Nichushkin, have offensive skill to back it up. This isn't Ryan Reeves, who I saw was put on waivers. That type of player of the world, who
This
has
isn't Curtis
size.
McDermott.
Who have size, but they're only physical. No, these are guys with size who are physical, who also have skill. Avs have 3 of them now.
What a feeling, man. What a feeling. In that Dallas-Edmonton game, the Oilers have now taken a 2-1 lead in that contest. Dallas getting out to a 1-0 start thanks to a power play goal from Wyatt Johnson, who just signed an 5-year extension in Dallas. We've got goals from Johnston and then 2 from Zach Hyman, assist going to Jake Wallman, Darnell Nurse, and Connor McDavid in that one.
Yeah, it
So
looks like they
2-1.
changed that. They initially had McDavid listed as the first goal scorer for Edmonton, but no, Hyman gets credit, and then Hyman picks up another. Jake Wallman, a deadline acquisition, getting the assist on the second Hyman goal. Okay, and look, no points for Leon Draisaitl. That's cool. In my newly resumed push to get Nathan McKinnon the Hart. So no points from Draisaitl, and the Stars, who suck even more now, are losing. Hey, there's a world where the Avs have home ice in that series. Wouldn't that be fun, huh?
That would be insane. The 16th is going to be, dude, March 16th at 1:30 p.m. with everyone being boozed up for St. Patrick's Day. That place, Ball Arena, is going to be, that's the place to be in Denver. If you are anywhere else but at the Avs game at 1:30 on March 16, I don't know what you're doing. I have no idea what could possibly be better than that. Like, that you have to go to that hockey game. You must.
Well, it felt like, seeing the crowd tonight, hearing the crowd, there seemed to be a palpable sense of energy, a renewed sense. Like, it felt playoffy tonight. It felt like there was a legit sense from those in attendance of, oh, this is very real now, once again, and it's good to have this back. And that was, game 1. And it helps that it's Toronto. It's Saturday night. It's hockey night in Canada. But that is even just a little taste of what a week from tomorrow is going to be like when Mikko Rantanen is in the building. Okay, so let's get back to that. So, various little nuggets of information keep coming out about what went down with Mikko Rantanen. And one of the newer updates appears to be that the Hurricanes talked with the Avs and Mikko and his representatives before the trade even went down and gauged Mikko's interest in a possible extension. And apparently Mikko, like, the talks were positive. Like, they were encouraging, but nothing was agreed upon. Yet reports at the time were Mikko was shocked. Now, so what we do know is he could not have been shocked that his name was in rumors. And I think he had a comment at the time or after the trade that indicated he was shocked that it was even a possibility. So that seems to be a little BS. He had to have known that it was a possibility. Now, what I will say is it is possible that despite even talking with Carolina, that he still thought, they'll get it done. They'll get it done here in Colorado. This is all just formalities and due diligence. But no, they traded him, and I guess he was shocked about it. And from what I understand, Raj, Carolina gave him an offer that is probably better than the 12, possibly something 13 million-ish, and he rebuffed that. So, okay, here are our theories. Here's the possibilities. He didn't like the city of Raleigh. He didn't like Rod Brindamore. One or both, or maybe neither.
For a guy who doesn't he doesn't play the hardest style of hockey, right? But I guess that's the nicest way of putting it. Like, he doesn't shy away from it, but he's not Peter Forsberg, right? There's
not Val Nichushkin.
He's not Val Nichushkin.
In that respect.
There's also part of the reason why, like, Mikko stays in the lineup and he's healthy almost the entirety of his career, right? Because he isn't Peter Forsberg in that sense. He isn't Val Nichushkin in that sense. if you're not that type of guy, fitting in a Rod Brindamore system, not easy.
Sure. So maybe it was that. Okay, and you brought up the state tax with the Dallas Stars going to play for a team with in a state with friendly state tax. I saw somebody in the comments mention like 12.5 million in Colorado equals 12 million.
Yeah, it's almost like to the cent. It's very, very,
If
very
you consider
close.
the Colorado state tax, how big of a deal is somebody brought up the property taxes in the chats of Texas, being a negation of that I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm not a tax guy. I don't freaking know. Okay, but that's a theory. Because and hey, that's a theory that could check out because apparently Miko was very money oriented, and when I don't know what the state taxes are in Carolina though, because as I say that out loud, it appears Carolina offered him a better deal than what Dallas gave him.
It was probably a factor. It was not a deciding factor. It was part of the equation, but it wasn't the equation.
So then here's what I'm left with, okay? And now I'm just going to go into my own, and a lot of this is, actually, this past 3 minutes has been speculation, okay? Why did he leave Carolina? And we talked about how Dallas and Carolina are similar teams. So why not re-sign with the Hurricanes? Why choose Dallas? And again, the state tax is a theory. Brindamore and just the city of Raleigh is a theory. He hated Raleigh. I don't know. So here's another theory. Was he just pissed at the Avs, thinking, oh, like I said, he appeared to think, oh, this will get done. This is going to get done. And then it didn't get done. And he felt, well, they got it done with Landeskog. They gotten it done with others. Why didn't they get it done with me?
Because he was the only one to not take a hometown discount. We've gone over this multiple times.
That's fair.
Rantanen was the only player not to take the discount. McKinnon did it. Landeskog did it. Makar did it. You were the only guy. That's the reason. You were the only one that thought you were holier than thou when other players who were better than you, more productive than you, took the hometown discount.
Sure. So did Mikko sign with the Stars? Did he want to get back into this division to prove a point?
I think that is a way larger piece of it than state income taxes. I think the allure of playing against the team that told you, hey, we're not willing to pay you what you believe your market value is. I believe a lot of that is now I get all of these chances to keep them away from Stanley Cup championships. I believe that is certainly part of it. Dallas very much wanted him, and they were willing to give him 8x12 when I think the rest of the league was looking at his value as declining by the day. I think that was the biggest piece of this spring, is that Dallas just happened to be the team that had enough in the tank, right? And Toronto was very much in that game. The Maple Leafs were trying to get Mikko Rantanen. They offered 2 firsts and Easton Cowan, if I'm correct, in a proposal that didn't quite get it done. Now, taxes much different in Texas than they are in Canada. That actually would have made a huge difference if they weren't willing to go over 12. I think it was the perfect storm of Dallas saying, we want this guy. We're willing to get him 8x12. And Mikko and his agent going, you have to sign the ticket, because if you're not going to turn into the player you were in Colorado, 12 is not a number that the rest of the league will give us.
Well, that point right there kind of, brings me back to, I wonder, the Avs back when they were negotiating with Mikko and his agent, if part of them was like, okay, you're this hell bent on your 13 plus, if not $14 million. Okay. That's even more of a reason why we want to trade you.
Prove it.
Go show them. Go show the league, huh? And they were proven right. And I talked about this when I filled in for Nate with Andy on Friday, okay? There's no excuse for Mikko Rantanen. There is no, oh, you traded me. My feelings are hurt. This is why I'm playing poorly. Oh, it's a new system. Look at Brock Nelson's first game, Charlie Coyle's first game tonight. And now it helps playing with Nathan McKinnon a whole lot, doesn't it? But if you're worth $14 million, you play like a $14 million player, rain, snow, sleet, got kicked in the nuts. I don't give a damn. you go play at a $14 million level, and the Avs called his bluff and were right. He's not that player. He's not. But I will say too, if him going to Dallas, and you know what, it had to have been part of it, because if it scared him, he wouldn't have signed there. So a part of him, if not a large part of him, had to have wanted that, had to have wanted to play the Avalanche as a divisional opponent, which means they would play more times in a season than versus other teams. For that, I actually kind of respect Mikko Rantanen. That actually is a somewhat baller move to say, now he failed his first test, but now he's got 8 years to try to win a battle against this team.
You know what's great about this is we don't have the what if, right? Like, it's not like you send him out to the Eastern Conference and then you never see him again. Maybe you see him in one Stanley Cup final 6 years from now. The case study is right before our eyes for the remainder of these Hall of Famers' careers. Like, Mikko's the Hall of Famer. Cale Makar's the Hall of Famer. Nathan MacKinnon, Hall of Famer. For the rest of their careers, we get to see this play out multiple times a year in the regular season, likely in multiple playoff series over the course of the next 8 years. That really doesn't happen all that often, where you get immediate data back saying this guy was right or this organization was right. It's a crazy circumstance for hockey fans. It's a great thing. For hockey fans, it's sensational. For Avs fans, it's going to hurt a lot. I wonder what March 16th is going to bring. And I said this on my show on Friday. I hope what happens is this. I hope when they play his tribute video, which should be 10 minutes long if they could do it, the entire arena stands up and gives a ear-splitting standing ovation. And then every time that dude touches the puck from here until he decides to retire as a Dallas Star, you boo him like you booed Matt Duchene.
Yeah, so
give him the best of both worlds.
Yeah, two things. One, on 80, and I want to echo it. It's great for the NHL.
It is
This
great.
is the type of drama, and to get them in the same division. I don't know. I call BS conspiracy. I'm blowing my whistle. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on with the NBA wanting Luka Doncic in LA. Well, if I'm the NHL, I wanted Mikko Rantanen back in the Western Conference Central Division. That's exactly where I want him. So, look, from an entertainment, from a league-wide standpoint, it's money. It's awesome. And so, yeah, on the 16th and Stars Avs games going forward, it's obviously a topic of conversation. Will he get booed when he touches the puck for the first time in that game on Sunday, and then subsequent games going forward? Look, for me, the way I view things, and I view it similarly to the Matt Duchene situation in a way. And look, it was fun to view Matt Duchene. Now it's a little different. It's similar. Don't get me wrong, but it's actually kind of similar the more I think about it.
It's pretty similar. Matt Duchene went, I want to go play playoff hockey, and then the Avs got good, and people boo him because he said the Avs weren't good enough for him. And the reason why Rantanen, if he gets booed, the reason why he will get booed is because you could have signed the same exact deal here.
Well,
and if it's true what you say, Mikko, that you never wanted to leave, that this was home, that you wanted to spend your entire career here, then sign the damn deal in the first place, dude. That's the reason why. If you get booed, Mikko Rantanen, you got no one else but yourself to blame.
Well, look, I'm sure Mikko has his agent in his ear, and the agent is probably telling him, dude, look at the money that like Kirk Cousins got. And yeah, is Kirk Cousins the best quarterback in the NFL? No, but when you're next up, when you're due up to get paid,
make your ticket.
Guess what, man? There's going to be a team that's going to overpay for you. We're going to do it. We're going to, and Mikko was probably like, holy crap. Like, yeah, I did score 55 goals. Maybe you're right. Am I the player Draisaitl is? No, but screw it. Like, I'm next up. I'm a star. Someone's going to get desperate and they're going to pay me. And then it didn't happen. So he took a risk. They took a risk for money purposes, which a lot of people do. Most players do. And it didn't work out. And yeah, the sick irony or weirdness of it all is he got like the same fucking deal.
It's the same, dude. It's literally the same deal. It's the same
It's
thing.
one of those womp womp, like,
Oh.
geez, why did I risk it type things. Okay. But Duchesne and Rantanen, here is a similarity though. The Avs made out like bandits in the Duchesne situation. Won the situation going away. Got Gerard, got the draft pick that was Bowen Byram, which is now ultimately turned into Charlie Coyle. And Duchesne's been fine. They win the situation. They won the Duchesne trade and the subsequent years going forward. I believe they have also won the Mikko Rantanen situation. I believe they are actually, even if Mikko signed the contract he could have signed here, it wouldn't have been as good for the Avalanche as having what they've received since Mikko left. I think it actually was a blessing in disguise for the Avalanche that this happened.
I completely agree with you, Spring. They're not the same team. I asked after everything happened yesterday. Marvel's what if? What if the Avs extend Mikko Rantanen? What does this trade deadline look like? Because it looks
Exactly
vastly different than what yesterday looked like. It looks vastly different than the Brock Nelson trade the evening before. That's the crazy what if. What if Mikko Rantanen signed a $12 million deal over the course of 8 years? And the Avs then have to look down the pike and re-sign Cale Makar. Who do they trade for? Who do they get? Is there really anyone that they're actually able to bring into the fold this year that makes as big of a difference on the ice tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs as everybody did? I'll go back over it, Spring. I'll go back over all of the changes that Chris McFarland has made in the middle of a hockey season. He has replaced his starting and backup goaltender. He has replaced his top line right wing. He has replaced his number 3 defenseman. And he has replaced his second line center, his third line center, and his fourth line center. All in the course of 3.5 months.
If they had extended Mikko and we never got, the night a month or so ago where, the Friday night where Mikko got traded, that never happens. Mikko resigns. Okay. They can still go get Charlie Coyle for Casey Middlestat. I don't know if they can go. Marty Necas isn't on this team, and bro, you don't have Necas and Drury, but you have Rantanen. Okay. I don't know if you can go get Brock Nelson. Now, maybe they could have. But I will say this. There then would have been a very low chance that you could extend Brock Nelson.
Yes.
Then Brock Nelson is an outright rental.
I can extend that guy tonight.
And would the Avs really have given up a first and Richie for a rental? Probably not. So I prefer this roster today than what it would have been with Mikko still on it. And also consider that Mikko is a good player, but has his flaws as well.
All right, Spring. What a night. What a trade deadline for the Avs. 7-4 is the win over Toronto. Next time we're on the pod will be Monday evening after they take on a way lesser team in the Chicago Blackhawks. Like, you should sweep the homestand. You should have 12 points out of this thing. And that is, what a delight to watch that, man. What a roster, what a team. And I felt this way for a few days now. Scotty Hastings, like, under his breath, in the first segment of their show on Friday, after they made the Charlie Coyle trade and after they got EJ back, he just goes, they're going to win a freaking Stanley Cup. And when I heard that out of Scotty, I went, you're goddamn right, Scotty, they're going to win a Stanley Cup. I can't wait to be along for the ride.
Well, and one final thing, D-Mac mentioned Eric Johnson, and Chicago on Tuesday night, right? Tuesday night, Raj? It's the perfect matchup. Chicago's the perfect team for Eric Johnson to play because Chicago
Yes.
sucks, even though they've beaten you a couple times this year. And that's even more the reason that the Avs, and with this Avs team, no, the Avs should be minus 500 home favorites. They should be minus 600. No, they should be minus 1,000 home favorites. And it's the perfect team for Eric Johnson to play against.
Monday night, 7 p.m., 6:30 p.m. pregame show on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. They'll have the first of a back-to-back. They'll travel to XL Energy Center and take on the Minnesota Wild, who they just leapfrogged for the number 3 seed in the Central Division. That'll do it for us tonight.
Real quick, Nug Life in the chat. They're not going to be minus 1,000 favorites, but they should be.
You get what we're getting at. But for spring, I'm Raj. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. Avs win 7-4 over the Leafs, and they look every piece the bit of a Stanley Cup contender. The Stanley Cup favorites is what they should be in the Western Conference. We'll talk to you guys on Monday night.